Hello, hello. Thank you for joining me today. This is the Spicy Pecan Podcast.
Have you ever had a dream that you could do so you could.
Welcome. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Spicy Pecan Podcast. I am your host, Nina, the spiciest pecan. Listen, welcome to any new pecans that are listening to the show today. You are very welcome. I appreciate you for viewing or listening. If you are checking this out on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. We'll give you a second to do that. And if you are listening on the pod directories, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, make sure you leave a review and share the episode. If you think it's good, share it with someone that you think would enjoy it as well. I am so grateful to have you here today. I have cooked up quite a wonderful episode. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I have Anna Rose Epstein. You don't know Anna, but you're going to get to know Anna. I'm going to get into Anna's bio, but before I do, we've been talking about equity within cannabis since I started the show. I have a segment called Weed News. In New Jersey, as we know, the recreational use of marijuana was passed earlier in the year. The fight for equity within that industry is going to be a real fight. Politicians and business people work hand in hand. So if we think that recreational marijuana is going to be something that is automatically going to be fair and is going to be this thing that is going to somehow give some type of retribution to the people who have had their lives ruined because of the criminalization of the plant, that's not going to happen. So it's really important that we pay attention to what's happening in states that are ahead of us, Illinois being one of them. The entire world is watching this equity program in Illinois. Anna has been on the pulse of all of this, okay? And we'll let Anna give us a little more description, but let's get into the bio. Anna Rose Epstein is a director, producer, actor, and activist. Anna Rose co-founded and is the producing director at Nothing Without a Company, an immersive site-specific theater company founded in 2008. NWAC focuses on uplifting marginalized voices from the AANHPI, BIPOC, and LGBTQIA communities through revolutionary acts of theater and film. Oh, love that. Anna Rose has produced, directed, or performed in over 40 theater productions and short films in Chicago since 2001. She is a licensed massage therapist, energy worker, and two-time award-winning film director with the 48-Hour Film Project in Chicago. Anna Rose is currently working on her first feature documentary about the Illinois cannabis industry. I am so excited to talk to Anna. Wealth of knowledge. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Anna, thank you so much for being on the show. How are you feeling today?
Oh, I got all kinds of energy coming at me and through me, and I'm feeling the day, and I might need to come down a little bit. So that's why I got this J right here.
That's all right. Listen, we all need a little of that. That's me right after the show. So before we even start, how should I refer to you? What pronouns?
So I go by she's and theys, but you can do she if that's easier.
Okay.
Yeah, but I kind of think that gender is it's like a made up thing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of an anarchist. I don't like being told to do something, or I kind of like do the opposite of those things that people expect of me. And I don't know, I feel like femininity and masculinity is just, they're stereotypes. So that's why I took on they as well as she a few years ago.
Let me ask you a question before we really get into it then, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm gay. We all know that. But I am still having, like, I don't know, like some difficulty, I guess, just being so programmed. Like, even as I'm doing the intro for the show, I'm reading your bio and there was she in there, but even prior to that, I'm finding difficulties not saying she. So,
Mm.
like, what advice do you give people? Was it difficult for the people around you, or are you just kind of around woke people? You know?
Yeah, it's always difficult. And I personally don't push it really too much for me, but I know a lot of trans and gender
Right.
non-conforming people and gender queer people that are just they and or other things. And I'm like a warrior for them almost. Like if someone misgenders them, I'm like, actually no, it's this way, and like we can correct it in the moment. So and I was just talking to my producer Victoria about this yesterday, because we were interviewing someone for a play that we're going to be developing with this ECCSC group, and they happen to be they, and V was having a hard time with it, and I was just like, just say their name. That's the easiest way. Like she kept saying like he blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, just say Anthony
Yeah.
blah 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 blah.
That's what I did. So just so you guys know, that's why I said Anna 17 times in the beginning of the show. But it is something that I embrace it. I embrace it if it means that people get to be seen more fully, if it means that you get to show up and you're comfortable with me,
Exactly.
and if it's a sign of respect of me just saying, you know what, I respect what your choices are, I'm cool. Then I'm all about it. So we just got to keep pushing through.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really not that hard once you get used to it. It's just like there are certain terms that people used to use 50 years from now that we don't use anymore. It's exactly like that.
Very true. And we're lucky in the English language, at least there's an actual translation. In other languages, there is no translatable way to say them or non-binary in an authentic way. So,
Right.
at least we have that going for us.
Right. That's what, and it's so funny. There's so much like in fighting in the queer community. And like Latin people, some of them are like, don't use Latinx, it's offensive.
Right.
And then other people are like, Latinx is more inclusive. So it's also like individuals.
Yeah, very much. I've heard that argument because I use Latinx. I'm half Puerto Rican, and I've heard both. I've heard both, so it's just one of those things that I guess, as long as our intention is good, that's, a decent start.
I agree.
But listen, I want to thank you because I know, but the audience doesn't know, this is really the first time you're really sitting down. You're usually someone that is behind the scenes, always within the fight for equity within this cannabis industry. What made you change your approach? Because I know that was a little purposeful.
Yeah. Well,
You can light that J whenever you want.
Okay.
I'm like excited. Actually, what are you smoking?
I'm smoking a pre-roll pack of a hybrid mango rhino.
We got to get to Illinois, y'all.
We got corporate cannabis.
That's right. That is right.
Sorry, I totally forgot the question.
No, no problem. Life is of a stoner.
Yeah. So the reason why I put myself out there, like more out there as opposed to being behind the camera, I actually got my Bachelor of Fine Arts is in acting, and I minored in directing. So I'm cool with being out there as a person, but I feel more comfortable as a character. I really like character analysis and just understanding why people do what they do. So finding myself is hard. We're constantly trying to find ourselves, but I'm working on this documentary. Yeah. And I didn't intentionally like only document the Black community, but the Black community were the ones that were like out there protesting what we've been protesting. And so it just happened to be that, and I didn't, and because I was like this white girl in a community that was basically only Black, I wasn't going to assert myself into that equation. And, you know, people didn't really want to hear what I had to say, which was totally fine. I was just there to support what they were saying, because I agree that Black and brown people need to have ownership in this industry and not just rich white men. And I applied for a license with my wife, who's Hawaiian Chinese, and my 3 other partners are Black women from the South Side. And so I kind of, I felt like I was doing the duty that I could do as my group, as a person in this group, showing support for our group and the other groups that
Absolutely. And this is one of the things that we're constantly asking for. You know, understanding on the other side, if it's a Black and brown issue, understanding from those who may have more power than us. So this is constantly what we're asking for. So you are an embodiment of what we're always asking for. No pressure at all. But let's do it. So how did this process start for you? When did you actually decide, you know what, I want to jump into this industry? This looks like something that, you know, is perfect for me.
Yeah, so I have been using cannabis for like 17 years, and I got into it in an industry way 15 years ago. I have an inflammatory disease, and it really helps with that. I also have like depression and anxiety, which, you know, I feel like everybody has.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah, and I think you know, medical cannabis is recreational cannabis, so I think everyone uses it somehow medically, but we just don't quite know. I'm also a massage therapist, and I'm really into like energy work and just working on myself as a person in general. I'm also all over the place, so I apologize for my crazy, like, what are we talking about again?
No, not at all. Listen, this is I actually, I thought about doing a few shows high, and I'm like, dude, there's no, you know, some people could totally wing it, you know, but there's no freaking way. We would just literally start talking about like our cats or something, like, you know what I mean? But yeah, so all right, so you kind of jumped in, you decide, or you started using the product.
Yeah, so I started using it at first for a few years, and then I graduated college, and I was like, what am I going to do with my life? Let me figure out some shit. And I figured out some shit, and I am being vague just because, you know.
Yeah.
But so I've been doing this for 15 years, and I want to go to fucking legit. I wanted to go legit when they were doing medical, but it was $250K to even apply.
Right.
And I could not afford that because I'm an artist, and basically all the money that I make goes into making art, because we got to do that. And I also really believe in paying artists. So so I felt like I needed to put my face out there as far as this project goes, because I'm raising money so that I can pay back all of these awesome volunteers that have been documenting the last 2 years with me, the True Social Equity in Cannabis documentary.
Yep.
Then also I have a team that I locked down for like 2 weeks in a row coming up, and we're gonna like bump out a full feature in 2 weeks to then submit to Sundance. Because I've never fucking submitted to Sundance. Like I've never even done a feature before. But
your work is awesome. Your work is awesome, and we're definitely going to get into more of that, because I want to talk about that 24-hour project that you did as well. But I want to make sure that the audience understands how you began this journey and what it's really taken when you began filling out the applications, the amount of money that it took, that scoring system. Like, I want them to understand, because they're going to play games here. They are. And there's no way that there is going to be a real equitable solution that New Jersey is going to present. So this is going to be a fight for years to come, unfortunately, because this is the game with politicians and business people. So how did that initial process start for you when you started filling out the applications? And I'm sure you guys had high hopes, not knowing any of this was coming up. But yeah, give me a sense of that initial process.
Yeah, it was horrible. Writing in the application for Illinois was like writing a dissertation in 4 months. And we had a team of really 4 of us on the application were part of writing it and being involved with it. And 2 of those out of 4 have master's degrees.
Wow.
And then additionally, we had 5 lawyers. 5. And the lawyers even said that this was the hardest application. This is the hardest thing they've ever done.
So it's purposeful.
Right away, it's ridiculous to even apply. And I met, and the city was claiming to be like having these open things that you could go and learn what it took to apply, and they would help you with those things and give you tools, etc. Which I think in the long run was a way for corporations to find true social equity applicants and put them on their application.
Wow. That is corrupt as hell.
I only attended one because I was like, this information is so general. If you had read the application at all, you would know all of what I just learned in an hour and a half. And then afterwards was, okay, and if you're here and would like to be a financial support, they didn't use that term, like raise your hand and then you can hook up with people. So of course, like a few people raise their hand, everyone flocks to them, like
that is crazy.
Potentially those people are going to have a license.
Right. But basically big money is just scouting these people so that they could use their story to say that it's a part of some equity program when in fact it's nothing like that.
There are programs that are, and I'm not going to say any of these big corps because I'll get sued.
And we don't want problems that, you guys can figure out who they are. Okay. Watch the videos, boycott the corporate cannabis.
I can boycott everyone that doesn't have a person who is a person of color or a woman that owns it. Like, do your research and know who you're buying from.
And honestly, in Illinois, you don't have to do any research. Spoiler alert, there ain't any.
So yeah. And if they, I was going to say there are companies that actually like find those people, give them the 51% that they have to give them because a social equity person had to have had 51% of the company. So then this corporation has 49% of the company, but in the contract, it basically says that this person has no power at all, and eventually can be bought out with little money or a lot of money. It depends on who was looking at the contract that you signed.
Right.
And how much does it cost to get a lawyer to look at the contract for you? I mean, it's just there were so many hurdles. And we almost gave up. I met groups that gave up. I met the guard at the dispensary that we were just protesting at for 7 days straight wanted to apply and gave up. Yeah. And she's not the only person, Black woman, like badass woman in her mid 50s. Yeah. So, and we thought we had an awesome group because I've run a nonprofit theater company for over 10 years with my wife, and our other partner is in finance. Our other partner works with the city in HR. Our other partner is a vet, like medical patient, has been like a medical patient since the beginning. And then we had a board member who has major ownership in California companies. And he was a connect that gave us actually some help with the application process, because a lot of people were just like sourcing sourcing things for the application and like doing a cut and paste
Right.
thing. Like that was pretty standard. Most people were doing workshops, or you could pay a certain amount or like get granted a certain amount
Wow.
if you qualified.
Which probably ends up, so you paid someone to help you get through the application process.
So we paid the lawyers, and this is a low amount depending on who you spoke to. So really, like whoever you negotiate with your fucking lawyers. Maybe try to do it without the lawyer if you can. But my lawyer is a board member at my theater company, and he was getting like into working with cannabis applicants. And so I was like, well, this is a perfect match because we know each other. And he was awesome. He negotiated with us that because he was also paying his other people, the 4 people, because, you know, this is a fucking crazy application.
Yeah.
Like 4,000, 5,000 page, like it's crazy. Where was I going? So we paid our lawyers $80K. And then, yeah. And that's low. Like the corporations are paying upwards of like at least $300K.
Yeah, and lobbying as well. So you had more resources than more people would even think to have trying to get into this. When we're talking about the group that we're talking about, my gosh.
Yeah. I mean,
still,
like, or you have to have like certain paperwork too. So if you were homeless or if you just like misplaced your paperwork or whatever, and we're talking about like for multiple years, you had to prove that you lived in a certain location for 5 to 10 years in a certain time frame. So for example, I'll explain like what my group looks like. So my wife and I live in a disproportionately impacted area, which is what they call it. Currently, we've lived here for 3 years, but we lived down the street for 4 years before that, but that didn't qualify. So technically, my wife and I are not social equity applicants. We don't own enough of the company to need to be social equity to get the points, which is the 50 points that you needed on the application to qualify as social equity. Also, to qualify as social equity on this application, you could have a record for cannabis related things.
Okay. And you get points for that.
The 50 points.
So just to kind of catch the audience up, so basically they, these applications, which more than likely, it probably will be based on a point system as well here. The application was weighted. So the different questions have different points. Now, let me ask you this, Anna. I know the answer, but I want to hear it from you. They gave you the criteria for the points, but was there like, how transparent was the process as far as how they're distributing these points? How understandable was this point system?
I mean, they laid it out like you get this amount of points for this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But then like 2 weeks before the application was due, they changed it. And you actually got like a pass or fail for the community engagement plan, which is, you know, the point of social equity is like what this group understands our community. We know what to do, how to help the community with this fucking millions of dollars that we're going to be making potentially. And we're going to do the right thing. We're not going to be that corporation. Right. So they changed that to a pass or fail. If you paid employees that were social equity, like while you were applying for it, right, like a month before you put in your application, if you started paying people that were social equity, you could be qualified as social equity.
Okay.
So they called that the slave labor clause. That's like a big thing here.
Now, how many licenses did they give out?
They haven't given out any.
They haven't given out any licenses.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That I'm still in like protest brain 7 days ago. So they actually gave out grow license, transportation licenses, and infusion licenses a week and a half ago.
Okay.
On the 4th day of our 7-day protest.
Oh,
so wow. Yeah. And some people think it had something to do with it.
I mean, I would think so. You guys are really making a lot of noise. I am going to share a couple like little pieces of the clips. I want to encourage people to follow your work. Listen, in this process, you have met some pretty kick-ass people. Like, can you kind of just, is there like, I mean, well, one person I kind of wanted to talk about just a little bit, Tyrone. That's a part of the ex-cons for community and social change. He's featured quite a bit in your work. Tell me a little about how you guys kind of started collaborating with each other.
Yeah, so when I first started documenting, it was really only press conferences that Ricky Hinden was doing, that I was attending and documenting. And I heard that Tyrone was at a dispensary protesting, and I was like, fuck yes. Yeah. Oh my God. I found out about it an hour after it happened. And so and he puts his information up, like you can get his phone number very easily. So, and I checked out the group on Facebook, and I was like, okay, this is really interesting. And then I checked him out, and he's live all the time. So I saw what he was doing, and I was like, okay, cool. So I'm going to message him. And then he got back to me right away. And then we chatted, and he was like, hey, come be on my radio show. And I was like, tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And then I went, and he's an Aquarius too.
Ow. Oh yeah, guys, we're all Aquariuses over here. That's why you're feeling so much knowledge dripping all over you. I'm always hyping up Aquariuses. Yeah, no, he's definitely awesome. Very, very, very powerful voice. And I just noticed that he was featured pretty heavily. I wonder though, in your work,
I just want to say, you can actually get his book that he wrote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's on our campaign. I read 4 books in the last, 5 months, which I have dyslexia. So I actually have trauma around reading. And so like actually reading 4 books, I haven't done in like fucking 15 years, probably.
Wow. It must have been good.
I read these books about this woman, Erica Porter, who is like a producer icon for me. She runs 48 Hour Film Festival, actually. This is her first year, and you can like submit to go do the film festival today. So we're gonna do that. But and then one is Tyrone's book. Oh my God, excuse me. Apologies, y'all. And then one is I should have brought them. Can I like bring them out?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna bring them out. But the other one is Asada More, and she wrote like a financial book about like, getting your shit together about finances. So
yeah, I've definitely had a few talks about that. That's huge I mean, it doesn't really matter what your race is. As Americans, we don't do well at that, period.
Oh my God, yeah. I hate money. I wish we could just trade everything.
Yeah, I always talk about on the show, I have like this, fantasy of me saying, forget all of this, going out into the woods, building a house, and like, just living like a self-sustained life. But, Netflix and Hulu, they're just so much, they just suck me in. But I wanted to, in the time that you've been working with on this stuff, like we said, you've been meeting these amazing people. Is there any one story that kind of you can remember where it just kind of exemplifies the equity issue, or something that was just very impactful, a personal account or a story?
Just something that happened at our protest, like Greg, it was like me, Tyrone, Greg, Snoop, and then like a few other ECCSC people, and then a few other people from the True Social Equity page showed up, and a few people that actually got licenses too, which was fucking dope. Yeah. Support. So Greg was like on the bullhorn like the whole fucking time, basically. Like his voice was shot at the end of the day. And he was just like yelling about the inequities, and he wouldn't stop, and it was really loud, and like it was triggering people. And people walking in the dispensary were triggered, like the employees were triggered.
Wow.
Like, I at first was like, oh, this is a lot, but I know how to like adjust my energy to deal with stuff. And I'm a daughter of a DJ, so I'm used to loud things.
Oh, okay.
And this one client, so they had locked up. You weren't allowed to go in at this point because they were like transitioning product into the location, and their rule, you can't have clients in there. And so there was a line building up, and this one client like was in a rush and needed to get her product, and she had just had a panic attack at home, and she was like really interested in what we were talking about, and really cared and wanted to know the issues, but like Greg was really like triggering her and making it worse. And he was also like talking to her too at some points, but then she'd basically show her white privilege, and like that's very frustrating for someone who's been incarcerated and like wasn't able to see their child born because of incarceration for cannabis for 3 years. Like, he's just like, okay, doing my thing, and just continued on. And I think just like learning, really understanding and learning like what Black people fucking go through and have gone through, and like that I have never experienced anything like being terrorized in jail for cannabis, like anyone being terrorized in jail because there's constant noise. Like they do like wake ups every 4 hours with noise and lights, and like, what the fuck are they doing to people?
Yeah, just that alone, and that's why this whole thing is so frustrating, and that's why it like I love what you're doing so much, because this is a space that you could have said, you know what, I got other stuff going on, I have theater behind me, I know how to do this and that, I have my massage therapy, like I could literally just get out of this and just do something that is easier. But the fact that you're in this space is it's so important. And the work that you guys are doing is so important because people's lives were destroyed, and they're pissing on the entire thing by re-traumatizing people with this. It's so mind-boggling that we knew that the legalization was going to happen, and that this wasn't taken into account. And one of your projects, which we'll start talking about now, but one of your projects really highlighted the fact that, this is not really just black and white. We have Black politicians who are pushing these things as well. We have people not paying attention to bills that are being passed. They're reading summaries of the bill. The people that we are electing, they're reading summaries of bills and passing them. And how, like, it's just
that's my producer V, Victoria. She's fucking dope that said that. Like,
yes, that blew my shit. Like, I don't even know how a better way to say it. That blew me, because we all know that there's corruption. We know that they don't do their jobs. We know, but you don't even read bills. That's like me not doing reading emails at my job. It's like, what are you doing then?
I'll tell you even more so, and I'm not gonna like. I really like people. I don't want to highlight any negativity in this documentary.
Yeah.
There was a lot of internal fighting, and still is. I'm not going to be highlighting that in this documentary. But like, they're not even not reading it, but like I feel like the politicians are putting the work on the people. That's why we have all these nonprofits that are run by the people that are trying to get stuff done, and they're almost like being lobbyists.
Yeah.
With no money.
It's insane.
Yeah. I feel like I've definitely been used in the last 2 years, which is totally fine because I'm allowing it. But in the sense that like, why aren't you doing that?
Yeah.
Don't you get paid?
That's the thing.
I haven't gotten paid. I've put like $10,000 into making this. Like I haven't gotten anything from any of the like promotion, like letting the people know, educate people. There are organizations that are nonprofits that are like doing memberships where they're getting paid to do that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah. Even with the Black Lives Matter protest, it took a while for some Black politicians to get involved in the protest. They were following some of the lead of white people who said, yeah, I agree with this because this is a obvious thing, you know? So sometimes it doesn't always...
I'm sorry, before I forget, because I do want to give him a shout out. Greg Harris, he is the Speaker of the House in Illinois. He's a older white gay man and did amazing things for Illinois.
Awesome.
I'm not really into politics, to be honest. So like this is
But when you see a good one, shout it out for sure.
Yeah, he donated to the campaign, which I thought was really awesome.
That is awesome. So make sure he gets reelected.
If he wants to. He's old.
Yeah, if he wants to. So let's start talking about the projects that you have, you're working on. So first, you in the past you did the 24-hour project, which is like crazy, insane, intense. My brain doesn't compute. Talk about the 24-hour. It's the Tribeca Film Festival.
Okay.
Or who does the 24? Is there a couple organizations that do it? Because I know Philly Cam does it here in Philadelphia as well.
Okay, yeah, this is something that gets really confused. So, okay, 24-hour fest is a thing that theater companies do.
Okay.
And 48-hour fest is a thing that's a film thing.
Okay.
I do both of those things.
Okay, you're crazy. This is like the bungee jumping of like production and directing, and like this is the X Games of our industry.
Well, like I loved acting, but I sucked at memorizing. So like when you're directing, you don't have to memorize anything. Right. And I really like working fast. So it just works out for me.
So, yeah, tell me about both. Tell a little bit. Just tell me a little bit about the experience of both.
Be brief. Okay. 24-hour Playfest is where you get a team of 6 writers, 6 directors, and 18 actors, and you make 6 groups. And I'm not good at brief, sorry.
So wait, you get your groups together,
and then you pick out of a hat.
Okay, that's what it is.
Who works together. You pick out of a hat who works together, and then the writer writes a 10-minute play that night, and then you like rehearse all day, and then literally 24 hours later, you perform a brand new 10-minute play in 24 hours for a live audience. Yeah,
that is nuts.
8-hour film festival. And we did that on a Zoom on like a Zoom thing this past year with the Hawaii company because COVID.
Right.
So we tried to figure out how to translate it. So we did that. And then the 48-hour film festival is similar. You get like prompts and like character and like different things. And then you have 48 hours to film it, edit it, and like get it to go and then turn it in 48 hours later. And then like a few weeks later, you get to see it on a big screen. And then if you get into the finals, and you get to see it again on the big screen, and then they like give awards. And this is throughout the country, they have them. And I actually won Best Director 2 years in a row.
High five. That is insane. So you thrive in this, like, that's awesome. That is freaking awesome.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it's like not good for me, like
some of us are just activated by pressure, and you should be grateful for it, because to be one of the people that fold under pressure, you don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? You're like activated. You're like, oh, I got 2 minutes to do it. Let's figure this shit out. I'm like crawling a hole.
No, it's a process, because like I have been for a long time before, very recently, like I would get moving and I would be in a good place, and then like I'd be almost there and I'd give up. and then I'd never feel good, or like I would never feel great about the final product, you know? And so I just gotta fucking like, I hate that feeling. Like I could have done more and I didn't. So I just gotta do that.
But also when it comes to production and editing and these types of things that you're talking about, it truly is so subjective. And I think a lot of us can be our worst critics, where we'll pick out things that people are like, the fuck you talking about, yo? Like, it was great. Like, what are you saying? You know? So, cause like, even with the podcast, I was like you. I never wanted to be, I didn't want my face to be on anything. This is like me, you know, doing something outside of my comfort zone and saying, you know what, I'm going to take on this challenge, because why am I afraid? And one of the things I say to myself all the time, I'm like, yo, you're going to die one day. Get over this shit. Like, you're going to die. Do it, you know? So that's usually what gets me through. So anytime I see people like, you know, just like that energy of thriving under pressure and like making big changes, adulting and just developing into better people, you know, I love it. I'm a fan of Anna. So listen, where are we at now? What can we either support you on? What can we be following up on? Where are we in with the license now? Where are we in with these projects, these films that are coming out?
Okay, so the email about the dispensary license, which is what I applied for with my team, is supposed to be coming out tomorrow with new scores. And then based on the new score, if we get our social equity points, which we should have, we get in a lottery.
Oh my gosh.
We're like 2 of like 4,000 people that are getting, I think 55 licenses. I can't remember. There's no fucking chance.
I mean, you never know, but
pray for us.
Yeah, we will. I mean, listen, if there's anything that we can do, you know, sign something, support something, I will continue to share your content. Just keep sending it to me.
Well, so please check out our Indiegogo page. I also put the Indiegogo ask together in 4 hours. So be kind to that video. But anything you can give, like $20 is totally fine, or a share, or more if you want those books I was talking about. And support your local Weed Man t-shirts and ECCSC t-shirts. Like, I think we have pretty fucking cool swag, and that's a really great way of helping right now the film and the movement, because the money is going to give back to the people who've already volunteered to continue to make it super fast, and then to continue to support the movement. Like, I've been buying like water and food because I show love with food. So I it's just how I work.
Yeah, definitely.
Grandma.
Food and weed. You show up to somewhere, food and weed, man, you can't go wrong with that. What? Awesome. So listen, Anna, I so appreciate your time. Like I said, I absolutely plan on continuing to follow, continuing to support, and hopefully this is not the last time that we collab. You know, Anna in the Spicy Pecan podcast.
Let's make it happen and tell people about things, and, you know, make the world a better place, because that's what cannabis is here for.
That is it. Absolutely. And that is an awesome way to wrap. Make sure you give my love to your wife, and get my my pull-out couch ready, because I plan on being a house guest.
Well, you're not allergic to cats, so that's good.
I am not. Awesome. Thanks so much, Anna.
We have a dream that one day every governor and politician in our state would keep their word.
When we talk about corruption within this witty city, it's our blowhard politicians that make unsatisfied promises to communities solely to get our votes.
I'm a firm believer that J.B. Pritzker ran as a governor to make his cronies legal drug dealers, while the war drug destroyed our communities.
Everybody that won higher level office ran on a platform that they were about social equity and inclusion. But that's not happening here with recreational marijuana industry right now.
And I'm telling y'all, it's not a black and white thing because we had black legislators who sat there and watched this happen.
Now we need to prioritize social equity in the cannabis industry in Illinois.
And we have been lobbying and advocating for true social equity since the beginning.
This whole industry has made $1 billion, and we've received nothing.
True social equity in cannabis would look like 99% owners being people of color, people who have been directly impacted by the war on drugs, owning licenses, not just dispensing, cultivation, packaging, infusing. That's what true social equity would look like to me. Just being able to fucking buy from black people, shit. Even when licenses do get distributed, they're gonna have to sell from multi-state operators now. So it's like, what are we fucking gonna do?
I came here to buy some cannabis, but when I seen the protest, I'm here with the people, for the people. That's who I am. So I wanted to find out what was going on. I did.
Thank you for listening to Spicy Pecan Podcast. This is a Wonderful Me Media production.